All right. So we have our journals, we have some props around us, blankets, block, and we are in the theme of mindfulness still. So this evening, I wanted to just sort of go back to yesterday when we had mom talks, whether you were part of it or not. We had done this little exercise of sitting with ourselves, asking, what do I need to hear from myself? Um, and so many great responses were shared. And so we're thinking about what do I need to hear, and then actually saying it to yourself. Um, Honestly, I haven't done it yet. I remembered that I need to do it. And then for some reason I got distracted. And so that's something that I am wanting to do by the end of today, is saying it to myself in the mirror. And again, like noticing if it feels awkward or silly, and just kind of seeing how the practice moves on. Mine was literally just saying I love you to myself. So I'm excited to practice and end my day that way today. Um, so that's something I invite you to do as well if you haven't incorporated that in, or if you want to try it out. And so we asked the question, what do you need to hear? And then today we're going to be inquisitive about this other question, very similar. What do you hear? When we sit or when we write, we are just going to use this state of mindfulness and notice what we hear, what's happening. That's kind of the first step in anything that we do, is to really ground and check in and notice what's happening. So I just have this little definition up here, or two things that I wanted to read. So this is in research articles, and it says, according to the American Psychological Association, mindfulness is, and it goes on to say, a moment to moment awareness of one's experience without judgment. In this sense, mindfulness is a state and not a trait. Right? It's not something that we have to do. It's a shift in intention or attention. While it might be promoted by certain practices or activities, such as meditation and yoga, it's not equivalent to or synonymous with them. Right? So we can be mindful doing literally anything or not doing anything. And then another definition that I've worked with over the years, seems simple and it sits well, is from John Kabat-Zinn and his large text, mindfulness-based stress reduction and the full catastrophe living. And his definition is the awareness that arises from paying attention on purpose in the present moment and non-judgmentally. That's how he defines mindfulness. So they each have this idea of without judgment, with purpose, and being in the present moment, or moment to moment awareness. So tonight for our journaling, it is a total free prompt opening. So I'm going to actually just use a little timer. It's sort of, you can call it a brain dump, total state of consciousness, just letting it flow. And then we'll kind of talk about it after we're done. Okay, so I'm going to set a timer. Just let's see, we'll do 4 minutes. You can go ahead and get started here. Total free flow, let it go. It might start with, I don't know what I'm writing, and then you will be surprised how your pen flows. Just halfway there. A little less than 2 minutes. Okay. Finish up your thought. So, just by writing, just by releasing whatever was in your mind, you were able to sort of answer that question of what do you hear? And this might have gone into the category of your mind. What do you hear from your mind? Or maybe you wrote about how your body was feeling. So you were listening to your body. Hi, Bentley. Oh. Maybe your spirit was speaking through you, right? So you were listening to what was happening in this moment. And now, just looking down at your writing, you can choose to mark it in any way you'd like, maybe a check or a little circle, and just noticing when you were writing about the past or the future. And it might just be the whole page even, so you can just circle the whole thing too. And reminding ourselves, right, we're not doing this to be judgmental, we're just practicing this awareness of what is. And just noticing how our mind might go to the past, it might bounce to the future. We kind of might go back and forth. We might be in the present. Just a pure practice of awareness without any judgment. Right, and as you're just kind of looking back, again, just notice if your mind's like, wow, I'm really thinking about this, I'm really thinking about that, right? Totally natural as part of this practice. Just a good thing to start noticing. See where your mind is. No need to change it at all right now. Okay. So we have that. We've hopefully released some stress and tension from our minds, release some of that weight. And now this practice, as we move into our body, letting it start to incorporate and come down from the top down to the body. I'm going to move back. We can start standing. We've probably all been sitting for just a bit here, so why don't we get started in standing position. You can move anything off of your mat right now. You've got things set up. Slide myself over a little bit. Yeah. I can hear my knees talking to me after sitting for so long. So I'm just going to move my knees around a little bit. Feel free to Take any stretches, come up onto your tippy toes, maybe reaching your hands up overhead. When you're ready to, starting to just kind of step a little bit back and forth, one foot then the other, feeling this connection to your left side, to your right side, left and right, and then letting both feet root down right through center. So to imagine this line through the center of your body, moving up towards your heart and the crown of your head, all the way up towards the sky. Close your eyes if you feel balanced. And if you feel called, bring your hands to your baby. And this question of what do you hear? What's happening in this internal space for you today? You're likely to start hearing your baby too. Feeling like, oh, they're wanting me to move my body so that they're more comfortable, or even having these intuitive spiritual connections with them. We're open to receive, we're open to listen to all that is here. The invitation is to listen to your body, all of these physical sensations throughout your practice. Take a deep breath into your nose. Release it out of your mouth in any way. You could also bubble your lips on this next breath. Really nice release for your jaw. One more. Letting your eyes blink open here as you release your hands down. Take your hands back behind you, interlace your fingers, and then gently roll your shoulders back and lift your heart. Let your pelvis find a neutral space so it doesn't feel like you're tucking your tailbone under. Relax your hips as you do this. Let your shoulders sink down your back. You might even look up a little bit, giving your throat some space. One more breath here, nice open chest. And then releasing your left hand, take it up to the sky. Your right hand just slides right down your leg and easing into a standing side bend. Right, the hand can slide down. You could also feel more supported with your elbow bent at your hip. A whole stretch down from the fingers to the foot. Really easy, coming right back out, standing, releasing that top hand. Other side, take your right hand up to the sky. Nice breath in and exhaling, easing into your standing side bend. Going back up to center, release your hands down, and then with a sweeping breath in, both hands reach up to the sky. And then we'll exhale as you widen your feet, soften your knees, and fold forward. Take a few breaths here in your first forward fold. Noticing that some of your weight might be able to shift to the balls of your feet. Letting your head dangle down, releasing your neck. Shake your head yes softly. And then pressing down through your feet, start to lift your gaze as you unwind yourself all the way up to stand as you sweep your hands back up to the sky. This time your palms gather together down in front of your heart, resetting our intention of listening. Listening to our bodies, our mind, our spirit, and our baby who is connected to it all. Hands up, breathing in. Exhale, fold forward, soft knees. Both of your hands down, and then your left foot stepping back. Right. If you can, or if you need to, you can widen this front foot, make some space for your belly. And then we're just gonna start to shift a little bit here, back and forth. Right, I know you said you can clear your props away, but if you'd like to take a knee down, and if you have your block nearby, I'm gonna grab one here. Sometimes it's just so much better to have the floor come up to you a little bit. Right, so we're here in sort of a runner's lunge shape. We've got the ball of the back foot on the mat, the heel is lifted, and we're just starting to pulse into our hips a little bit. So this front leg, you might straighten it all the way. You might keep a soft bend into it. Now, as you bend back into your front knee, we will take the back knee all the way down, making that space between the back knee and the front foot as wide as feels comfortable for you. Letting this front knee come above your ankle. You can stay low on the block here. If you do, you can press into the block with your fingertips. Maybe start to lift your chest. That feels nice on your back hip flexor. Another option is to just come all the way off the blocks and roll the shoulders back. Okay, so we're starting to just very intentionally hug the inner thighs towards each other, keeping some of our muscles engaged. Noticing where the sensations are happening in the hips or other places of the body. And this engagement just keeps us from overstretching. This active stretch. Take another breath here. So we're going to come back down to the block and start to bring this front leg more straight now with the back knee. So this half split variation. You can take your block back with you. So if you're only working with one, you'll want the hand to sort of mirror the leg or be parallel to the leg with your block. And then your other hand can come onto your hip. Better view here. Right, so this front foot, your heel sort of pressing into the mat, letting your toes pull towards your face. Their bodies are not always perfectly symmetrical here, so you might experience something different. But let yourself just notice where your center line is, and do your hips feel centered? And if not, what can you do to shift your center, shift your hips back? Sometimes it's this feeling of pulling this right hip back, kind of digging the heel in, pulling the leg, really subtle action. Sometimes it's our hips really just moved all the way over and we shift them back. Another breath here too. Nice and slowly here, starting to bend back into the knee. And we're going to come into tabletop from here. So again, that foot can inch out nice and wide if it needs to, and then step back into table. We come down flat, hands, nice wide fingers, and we'll move through a few cat and cow. Your inhale, rolling the shoulders back, lengthening the neck. We exhale, pressing into the ground, shoulder blades up towards the sky, head drops. A few more like that. Of course, any other intuitive movements here when you're in this shape. When you're ready to, from here, we'll lift our knees, come into downward facing dog. Take a nice wide down dog with your feet today. Nice soft knees. They can alternate the deeper bend. Let that muscle, your calves, find some space. Take a moment in stillness, letting both of your heels draw down. Fingertips are really gripping the mat here as you let your head look back towards your feet. And then bending into both of your knees, step or make your way any way up to the top into your fold. Lifting halfway, hands slide up your shins. Try to keep your chin tucked toward your chest, keeping your neck nice and long, and then release back to your fold. Pressing through your feet, big rise here as you breathe in, hands to the sky. Then exhale down to your heart. Sweeping your hands back up, breathing in. Exhale to fold forward. Halfway lift, breathe in. And exhale, send your right foot back this time. So we're going to stay high first. Again, you can take your block here. Be nice and high just as you start to explore this side with a bent front knee and then bringing it more towards straight. That back foot high in the ball. Nice and long. And bend back into our front knee. Bring your back knee down. And stay in your lunge for these first few breaths. Again, on the medium setting of your block with fingertips pressing, you can lift your chest here. That foot can be wide. Or coming right up to your front knee and relaxing your shoulders. That hug of the internal thighs towards each other. Think of both of your legs sort of spiraling inward here. Really stabilizing through your pelvis. Nice soft jaw. Taking another breath. Our hands can come down either to the floor or to the block. And we'll come towards that Ardha Hanumanasana, that half split, straighter front leg. Doesn't have to be totally straight. As we lift the toes, pull the toes towards the shin and let your front heel press down as you pull this left hip slightly back. Where are these sensations? Who's talking to you right now? One more breath here. We'll start to bend back into the front knee. You can take both hands to the inside of the foot as you step back to table again, moving the block off to the side. Nice flat palms. Knees about hip distance apart and coming back to a few cat-cows here. Really feeling the shape of your body as it's moving. Noticing how your bones and your muscles respond to the movement and your breath. And when you're ready here now, tuck the toes, come back to downward facing dog, lifting your hips. Go ahead and take that wide down dog again today. Nice wide feet, soft knees. Think about your chest moving towards the tops of your thighs. And your baby's doing the same, moving towards the tops of your thighs. One more breath. With a few steps, coming back up to your forward fold here. And as you get there, breathe in to halfway rise. Chin tucks to the chest just a little bit. Exhale, fold down. Press to the feet, rise all the way up to stand. Palms gather and float to the heart. Widening your feet again here. Take your toes out to the sides, your heels inward, setting up for a Malasana squat. That block can go right under your hips if you'd like to take a seat. Otherwise, letting yourself move as low as your hips want to go today. So keeping your hands plugged at heart center, breathe in. And exhale, start to bend your knees. And yourself move down to your squat. As you settle in here and nestling your arms inside of your knees, press one another against each other. Let them feel the pressure, the warmth, the boniness of one another. Working together to start to lift the heart, crown of the head. If you'd like to close your eyes and listen. First, letting your hands release down towards the floor. You'll start to lift your hips away, coming into this folding position where you can point your toes back forward. Bend your knees again and step back to tabletop. Child's pose from here, knees wider, hips back, releasing your head all the way. The head can come to that block that you have nearby, or all the way down to the mat. Start to transition ourselves to a seated position, walking your hands towards your body, lifting your chest away from the floor. We can swing our legs out in front. And I'm gonna grab my blanket and again have my block. If you've got a blanket or a pillow you'd like to sit up on, taking that here. So before we get into a few more stretches, let's practice our Ujjayi breath, as it will come in handy now, and of course, all the time, and through labor, after labor, past, present, future, using this breath. So just a nice comfortable seat here. Our Ujjayi breath is that oceanic sound that comes from the constriction of the back of your throat. So imagining you are fogging a mirror. If you want to kind of even practice what that feels like, letting your hands come in front of your face and so this exhale happens with the lips gently together, the jaw soft, and this constriction of the throat kind of releases that ah sound. The inhale is similar as we are constricting our throat. I know you can't hear me, but it's sort of like we have some sort of mask on. People say it's like Luke Skywalker. It's oceanic. It's called the warrior's breath. There's so many things, whatever resonates with you here. So if this is new for you, take your time, no worries. You can really practice on the exhale. Right, so sitting tall, you might again choose to just drop your gaze or close your eyes. Soften the jaws, the lips come together. Feeling your tongue coming to the roof of your mouth just behind your top teeth. Drawing in a nice breath. And then releasing and fogging the mirror. Nice and slow. Seeing if you can find that same constriction as you inhale through the throat. Hearing this breath. Take a few more rounds here. Each exhale, allowing you to feel a bit more grounded, releasing a bit more tension. While we imagine the inhale giving us some energy and lifting us up. filling with this last in-breath. Releasing it out. To move our body into a new position. Taking your right leg out to the side. Taking that left foot in. Take your hand down your extended leg. And turn your body so it's facing your bent knee. And this hand on this side is going to start to sweep up. We're finding a rainbow arc over towards your toes that are pointed up to the sky. We've invited this Ujjayi breath into our practice. Feel free to use it for the remainder here as we slow down. Rest your head and your neck however you need to. From here, taking that top hand, lifting yourself up. And then get your block. You might choose one of these options or none at all here. So your bent knee, this bottom leg, you're going to take it out of the deeper angle that it's in. So it's going to come in front of your body in an almost like parallel way. From there, flex your foot so your foot is awake. Looks like you're standing with your foot. And then this long leg, we're coming into fire log. So the idea, and why we have our block, is that our ankles and our knees stack on top of one another. Often there's this huge gap between one side, so the block can rest there. And sometimes we're even too tight for that, so the block can come out in front and the top leg would rest there instead. Okay? Or you might not need this support at all today. Okay, so sort of that outer hip stretch here now that we can come into pigeon and figure four, right? Just a new shape. So both of our feet are awake, dorsiflexed, and we start to bring some awareness to how our upper body is feeling in this seat. And then we'll ground back down to our lower body and notice if we can find center once again. You might feel a little tilted. Bring yourself in center. And then by shifting the shoulders, the heart forward, you can also change the sensation. Right, whether you're upright or you're slightly reaching the heart forward, let those shoulders draw down away from your ears. Call in your ocean sound through your breath. What do you hear through the body, through the mind? Noticing without judgment. ready to, we're going to bring ourselves back up, shoulders back above the hips. Releasing the block if you have it, and then very lovingly taking that top leg and the bottom leg out to a straighter position, shaking out the feet, bubbling the knees. Okay. And then letting your left leg come out to the side with your right foot in. Turn your body slightly towards this bent side. With your hand coming down the long leg, the opposite arm comes up. Breathing in, exhaling over to the side bend. That bottom shoulder, I just noticed mine was creeping way up. So a reminder, if you need it to, let that bottom shoulder relax. Take another breath. And from here, coming back up. Okay, take this bottom leg, so your shin comes to be more parallel. You kind of use your mat as like a guide for a line. And then your top leg, your legs like Lincoln logs are stacking with any of those modifications that we went through. Take a few moments to settle in. Find that center line of your body. And arrive. We're cultivating the state of awareness. Some of our minds might do better with visuals for a greater sense of embodiment and understanding. And so what just came to mind is this idea of throwing darts. We might have that thing, whether it's an external thing that's happening or if it's a sore muscle. Something's happening and it's bringing our attention to it. And so let's say it's this hip we're stretching right now. Oh, that's really, really sore hip. Or that's a tight hip. Or I can feel this muscle needs to release, whatever it is, the thought, the initial thought. And then it's like all the thoughts that come after, usually the judgments, are like darts. You're throwing at the thought. Dart, dart, dart. I should really stretch more. Why is my hip like this? Oh my gosh, I have to do this later. The darts keep coming. And that's okay. That's how our mind works. It's just the most interesting to be able to observe and say, wow, what's happening right now? Instead of allowing yourself to be in with the darts. Take that little step back. Body can only breathe one breath at a time. Your mind is often moving so much faster. And so let's bring our energy back to this next breath. Nice full breath in. full breath out. Bringing yourself up if you are slightly folded. And then lovingly releasing your legs here. Ankles, feet, knees. And then coming onto our backs. Start by sliding down on your side. Take your block with you. Come down onto your back with your knees bent and your feet on the floor. With your block on the lowest setting, slide right under your hips, right under your pelvis, so your sacrum rests flat on the block, supported bridge. Feel your knees pointed forward. You can gently roll your shoulders back as your arms lengthen by your side with your palms facing up to the sky. Let all of the weight in your hips be pressed down into this block. One breath at a time. One breath to flow to the next. Feeling the soles of your feet pressing down as you start to lift your hips from this block, sliding it out. Heel toe your feet just a little wider and allow your knees to sway side to side. Windshield wiper to the left, to the right. Leaving space for you to do anything else your body might be saying that it needs before we take a few moments of rest. If you're ready to move into a more comfortable and still position, feel free to find that place as well. Lying flat on your back for Shavasana. Side lying. Or even sitting up in Slow and loving scan of your body from your feet up to your knees, to your hips, pausing at your baby, with your baby. Traveling up the rest of the body, chest, shoulders, down the arms, and letting your neck and your head fully let go. It's okay if the darts are flying. See or hear them. We know that we are separate from our thoughts. We don't have to participate, but rather we can choose to observe. Tuning into the sounds, anything that's happening around you as well. Moment to moment awareness. Noticing now the palms of your hands, the soles of your feet. Inviting movement into these places. Gently sending energy back up to your heart. Your breath might wash over you here. Bring yourself up to seat whenever you're ready. Place your hands anywhere to the body. So thank yourself for this time. With love and gratitude. Namaste.